Guys, you know who I am by now, Mark Dawes, NFPS Limited. And this is my Christmas gift to you. This is something I want to give to you. It's something that I've been meaning to do for a while, and I think now's the right time to do it. I mean, as we draw towards Christmas, we start to hopefully wind down, we start to reflect back on the year, and then we look forward to the forthcoming year. And we make New Year's resolutions, and we have dreams, and we have aspirations, if not for us, then for our children or for your grandchildren. And this is why I'm doing this video. The trigger for this really was last Friday. Last Friday I was invited to speak to a group of people, really good people. The situation with them is that they don't know whether they're going to have a job next year. As from April next year, they don't know whether their position is going to exist. So they're going into the new year not knowing what their future holds. And they're totally demotivated, to be honest with you. The energy in the room when I was there was completely low. And it got me to thinking, because I was in that position a few years ago, when I was actually earning a lot of money, to be honest with you, and I wasn't following my dream, I wasn't following my passion, and I needed to do something about it. Now, there's another side to this coin as well. For those of you who may be at work with an uncertain future, there's also for those of you who may know young people who are finishing university, school or college, who are looking to go out into the workplace and hopefully follow their dreams. But it's all too easy nowadays for these young children or young people, young adults, I suppose is the correct PC term for it these days, to not follow their dream, to get stuck into a routine, to start earning money so they can afford to go out once a week, or they can afford to have that yearly holiday. And for example, there's children now, my children, your children, people we know who've invested 3-4 years at university, learning to be independent, learning to study, learning to be creative, learning to be curious about life, and then forgetting all that when they come outside and getting into the machine, working for the man to earn $1, and losing their dreams and having their energy and their life force sapped from them. So this is an exercise I'm going to give you, and if you want to do it, now's the right time to prepare you for next year. The reason I thought I'd do this, as I said, was I was giving a talk last week and everyone in that room was completely low for the reasons I've just stated. So I asked a question. I said, okay, if you had 12 months to live, that was it. You've gone to the doctors and he said, I'm ever so sorry. As from this moment, you've got 12 months to live. What would you do differently with your life that you're not currently doing now? Everyone in that room said things like, I'd spend more time with my family. I'd go traveling. I'd chuck this job in because I hate it. And so on and so forth. Not one person in that room said that they would continue doing what they're currently doing, which was being stuck in a job that made them unhappy, to earn money to live so they could go on earning money in a job that makes them unhappy so they could continue to be unhappy earning money. And that sounds absolutely perverse when you put it like that, doesn't it? But it's easy to get stuck in that mindset. So I then capped the question by saying this. I said, well, how do you know you don't? How do you know you haven't got 12 months to live? We all think we're going to live forever. We all think that life's going to go on and go on and go on as it did yesterday and the day before. But the fact and the reality is that we're all one day going to die. Now that sounds pretty morose, doesn't it? But it's a fact you might as well get to grips with. One day we will die. One day I will no longer be able to produce videos. I'll be gone, and so will you, because that's the actual finish line that we're all going to end up at. That's just a fact of life. I could get knocked over walking out the road tomorrow. We don't know. So the question I really want you to ask yourself at this point is this: am I doing what I want to be doing if this was the last day of my life? And if the answer to that question is no, then this exercise is seriously for you. And I want you to share this exercise with people. I want you to share it particularly with school leavers, particularly with children at university, so they do not lose that drive and that passion, because it's too easy to do so and get sucked into the machine and ending up living a life that you don't enjoy just to earn money to continue living a life that you don't enjoy. The exercise is called a values elicitation, and right below this video is a document that you can download to help you do it. Now, there's a slide coming up now, and it's a hierarchy of needs which was produced by someone called Robert Dilts. And at the bottom of that slide, it talks about your environment. And the environment is the place where we normally express our behaviours. So you behave differently at home than you would do at school. You behave differently, for example, in the workplace than you would do when you're playing with your family. You behave differently on a social gathering than you would do being professionally at work or presenting to an audience, for example. So our environment, to a degree, can control our behaviour, and it can become an anchor for that behaviour. It can become a conditioning Pavlovian factor for that behaviour. And then that behaviour over time will become a competency. So if you practice a behaviour, it can become an unconscious process, becomes a habit. And over time, we call that a competency. Now, if those competencies are good, if you're doing things consistently good on a continual basis, so your competency is good, that's great. But some of us produce dysfunctional behavior, bad behavior. We can produce bad behavior so consistently, so well on a consistent basis that it becomes an unconscious competence, and therefore we don't even have to think about behaving badly, we can just do it without thinking. And road rage is an example of that, where someone can get into that environment called a car, and they can actually drive around badly and then shout and scream at other people, and yet go home, go into that place called a house, a different environment, and roll around the floor playing with their child or their pet. Now, above your competencies are your beliefs and your values. And this is what drives everything below and will drive everything above. What you believe and what you value in life is the driving force that produces your behavior. It's the driving force that will change your physical and your psychological state in a heartbeat. Now, when you ask people, what's your goal in life? People will say, well, I want to be this or I want to be that. I want to be a millionaire. I want to be happy. Whatever that goal may be. But that might not be congruent with what they value. So, for example, if you want to be a millionaire, but you don't value money, you value free time or you value other things, then that's not going to happen. I mean, if you value seeing a sunset, but your behavior is that you actually run in the opposite direction every morning or every evening, you're not going to see it. So your strategies in life have to be congruent with what you believe and what you value and what you hold to be true. This is really, really important if you're going to live your life in what they call a congruent state, so you can actually follow through on what you're doing. Because when your life, your beliefs, your values, your behaviors are congruent, then you don't have to fake it. You can actually live your life on your rules. Now, I did this exercise many, many years ago, and it worked absolutely implicitly for me, and it still helps me today. And I help people by helping them do this exercise, and I want it to help you. This is why it's my Christmas gift to you. Okay. What is a value? Well, a value, to define a value, if you like, a value is something that has a meaning to you, something of purpose. So, for example, one of the most important values for me in my personal, professional and private life is integrity. That's right at the top of the food chain. I value integrity. I like people who have integrity, and everyone that I work with has integrity in my organisation. Another value that I hold true is honesty and trust. And we will trust people even before we go to contract mode. And if we get a gut feeling saying it's not right, we won't go down that route. So if I was drawing up this hierarchy of needs and I'm brainstorming this, I'd say, well, integrity and trust were really important. So the first thing you need to do with the sheet of paper below is to list your top 8 values. Now, you might not know what they are at this moment in time. Therefore, this is not a let's sit down for 30 minutes and do this exercise. This might be something that you do over a period of time. But let me just write down, how you could go about this. So you can say, right, my values are, I like trust. I like trust. So trust is important to you, so brainstorm it. You might say that you like integrity. So write that down. You might say that another value that you hold true is financial security. So we'll put that down there. Financial security or independence, because you may value finance in terms that it gives you other things that you can do without being dependent on other people. Now, what other values could there be to you? Well, you might value relationships. Relationships might be really important to you. Other people might value private time. So you might write privacy as being an important issue to you. Now, you can go on and you can go on with this. And one thing you might want to do here is you might want to think about what you don't like and then find the polar opposite. Because if something really winds you up, if you hate something, and for one, I hate bad customer service. So good customer service is really important to me. So if I go into a shop, bar, restaurant, nightclub, and I get bad customer service, I'm out of there. It's the end of it. And my kids have known this because we used to stand in Pizza Hut years ago where that board was on a stick that said, please wait here to be seated. And we noticed all the waiters and waitresses down by the till there, chewing mints, looking at us, not acknowledging us, and we'd leave. And my kids always used to say to me, we're not stopping then, Dad. No, we're not. And I still don't today. Good customer service is really important to me. What else winds you up? Rudeness, bad manners. So therefore the polar opposite of that would be courtesy. Respect might be another one. So it might be something that you value. And like I said, just brainstorm this. You don't have to take 10 minutes or half an hour to do this. You can take a day or a week to do this. And then In the column there, you can make some notes next to these things, so you can give them a notice as to what these are. And then you need to compare them. You need to say, well, are trust and integrity the same thing? Are they the same? Yes, no, maybe not. Okay. Is good customer service, courtesy and respect the same thing? Maybe, maybe not. And what you're going to end up with is a hierarchy. So say, okay, which one of these is the most important to you? Well, for me, it's integrity. So I would mark that at number 1. So that will go at the top of my food chain. Then I say, okay, what's second most important to me? And what would be second most important to you? Well, certainly trust would be important to me. Financial security is really important to me. That's really there. So that might be the third one. And I like my privacy. I think that's the fourth most important one to me. Relationships are important to me. So that might be the next one. And then I like good customer service, or no, maybe I think respect for others is there. And then 7, and then maybe that is number 8. So as you can see, I've ended up with a hierarchy here, not necessarily in that order. And then I would rejig that to actually give me a hierarchical system of what are the most important values to me. So if I was now looking at developing a business or looking at applying for a job, this is going to give me a barometer of what's most important to me. Well, what's the most important thing? Well, integrity. In fact, we'll use a different colour pen because that'll be cool. Yeah. Sorry about that. We'll use a red pen. Let's say integrities are really important. That's my number 1. So would I want to go and apply for a job with an organisation that just wants to make money for profit? Well, the answer will be not necessarily if integrity was the most important thing to me. Do I want a job where I can actually change people's lives for the right reason and challenge people and have the strength and willpower to do so? Yeah, then that's integrity. So, that might dictate which route I go down. Trust is really important.